Alright, so year 10, so this is our second lesson on polynomials. Okay, so this lesson we are going to do long division of polynomials. So last time we've done addition, subtraction, and multiplication of polynomials. Alright, so let's see how could we do divisions on polynomials. Okay, first let's review some terminologies for division. Okay, so for example, if we do long division for 226 divided by 3, then if you do the long division, you see there's a number called quotient. All right, so this is what we call quotient. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is what we call quotient. So, and for any division, there will be dividend, and there's a divisor. Okay, so normally it's dividend divided by divisor, and then you got quotient, and sometimes you can't. It's not fully divisible, so there will be a remainder. So that will be the number left behind. Okay, so there's several things you need to notice when we are doing that long division for numbers. So the numbers you put here, for example, the first number 7. Why we put 7, not 6 or 8? Okay, because when 7 times 3 equals 21, so this 21 comes from 7 times 3, right? Okay, so why do we need that 7 times 3, not 8 times 3 or 6 times 3? Okay, so the idea is you need to get a number which is as close to 22 as possible, right? But not greater than 22. So 7 times 3 would be the close to 22, but then still less than 22. All right, so that's the idea for long division. So after that, you got 22 and 21. Of course, we know you need to do the take away. So 22 take away 21, okay, equals 1. And then you bring you bring the 6 from the dividends. You bring that 6 down to the new line. Okay, to the new line, and that becomes 16, and then you could keep doing that until you got a remainder which is less than the divisor, then that's finished. Alright, so there are several things for long division. Think about, you need to use the number on the quotient to times the divisor, which get you a number as close to the number in the dividend as possible. And when you come into a new line, you need to bring a number from the dividend. Okay, so that process will be quite similar for what we are going to learn today in the long division for polynomials. Okay, so let's go to the polynomials. Okay, so here if we use a polynomial x cubed plus 2x squared minus 13x plus 10 divided by x minus 3. Okay, so of course we know that's okay, x cubed plus 2x squared. This polynomial is what we call dividend, and that's x minus 3 is what we call divisor. Okay, so dividend divided by divisor, you got quotient, you got remainder. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you how to do each step at this stage, but you could see, just like what we have done for the numbers, when you use that quotient, the number in the quotient times the divisor, you come very close to the terms in the leading term in the dividend. For example, you will see these two must be the same. Okay, and then when you got 2x squared, take away 3x squared, it becomes 5x squared. Okay, then you use that 5x times x minus 3. Okay, you see they are always the same. And each time you need to bring something from the dividend. Okay, each time you need to bring something from the dividend. Okay, so do you see the pattern? So each time you try to create a term from the quotient, which will give you the same term for the leading term in the dividend. Alright, and also you need to bring the new terms from the dividend to the new line. Alright, okay, so let's see how could we do it. Okay, so I'm not going to go through these steps because it's very hard for you to understand what's the meaning of this. So I'm going to do it through the examples, right? Okay, so let's just try to do one quadratic one divided by x plus 1. Okay, so first let me draw. Okay, so that's how we set up for long division. Okay, so then you write the dividend. Okay, you write divisor here. Right, so we need to think about what's the first number here. Okay, let me create some room for. Okay, right now you need to think about what should be. Okay, what should be here? The first box. Okay, so the thing in this first box, which is the leading term for the quotient, how could we find that? So remember that for the long division, you need to make sure every time you can cancel that leading term, right? So if we want to cancel that 2x squared, so the best way to do it is to divide that 2x squared by the leading term in the divisor. Okay, so the leading term in the dividend is 2x squared, and the leading term in the divisor is x. Okay, so let's try to think about 2x squared. Okay, which is the leading term in the dividend divided by the leading term in the divisor. Right, 2x squared divided by x, which is 2x, right? 2x. Okay, right. Okay, then what happened to the next line? So you are going to use that 2x times the divisor, right? So just like what we've done for the numbers. So how could we get this line? You used 7, the leading digits of that in the quotient, times divisor. So 7 times 3 equals 21. Okay, right, so that's what we are going to do. We are going to use this 2x times x plus 1. Okay, so think about this. 2x times x, it gives you 2x squared. So that comes from 2x times x. And also you need to use that 2x times plus 1. So that's 2x. Okay, so what are we going to do next? So if you go back to the number, you see that when we got 21 here, so next step you are going to use 22 take away 21. Alright, so basically we are going to do takeaway, but since this is polynomial, to do takeaways sometimes it could be not that simple, and also sometimes we might make mistake for due to the sign of the term. So let me give you one way which you can avoid the mistake. So listen, after you got the new line by using 2x times x plus 1, then you need to change the sign for the new line you just created, right? So for example here, 2x squared, okay, so it's plus, so now I change it to minus. For that 2x is plus, but now I'm going to change it into minus. Alright, okay, so then we just add them. Alright, so because you take negative for all the terms for the new line, and then you add them. It's just like you take away, right? Okay, so think about we use the first line to add the second line, the line that you have changed the sign. Okay, 2x squared plus minus 2x squared, so it becomes 0, right? So it becomes 0 here. And 4x plus minus 2x, okay, so 4 minus 2, that's simply plus 2x. Okay, so basically that 0 should not be here anymore, so just cancel it. Alright, and so the leading term now is 2x, so the leading term now is 2x. Okay, so it's no longer 2x squared. Okay, so from here you see there's only one term, so but there are still terms in the dividend, so you need to borrow that negative 6 to the new line. Okay, so you borrow that minus 6 from the dividend to the new line. Okay, so now focus on that new leading term, which is 2x, and then you are going to think about your next term. Your next term will be here, the next term. Okay, okay, so I make the box a little bit bigger for some reason. Okay, so think about the new terms 2x, so again I'm going to use 2x divided by the leading term of divisor, which is x. Then you will get 2 over here, and also this should be positive 2, right? So need to write positive, right? Why not just 2? Because you need to have something to link up with that 2x. If you just write 2, it looks like 2x times 2, but it's not the case. So for the second term here, that's why I make that the box a little bit bigger to contain that sign in front of 2. Alright, so and then you use that 2 to do what? To times the divisor, the x plus 1. When 2 times x, it gives you 2x. When 2 times 1, it gives you plus 2. Alright, okay. Then, just like what we've done before, you need to change the sign for this new line. If that's positive for first term, it becomes negative. If that's positive second term, it becomes negative as well. And then you just add them. Alright? Okay, so let's see what we have now. You got positive 2x plus minus 2, so they cancel out, so it becomes 0, right? Minus 6 minus 2, so minus 6 and then minus 2 should be minus 8. Alright, okay, so that's it. Okay, so the question is about performing the long division and state the quotient. Okay, so there are 3 things: performing the long division, state the quotient, and remainder. Okay, so we just perform the long division. How about our remainder? So remainder is the number left behind, which is minus 8, and the quotient is the number at the top. It's the term, the expression. So that's the answer, right? Okay, so remember how to do it. Okay, so if you still got some doubts, please watch it again. So I know it's quite complicated, so possibly one time won't be enough. Alright, or you might try to just follow my second demonstration. Okay, so the second one is 3x squared plus 2x minus 4 divided by x minus 2. Okay, so let's set things up. Alright, so you got 3x squared plus 2x minus 4, and you divide by x minus 2. Okay, right. Okay, so first you need to find out, you need to compare the leading coefficient, the leading term of the dividends, and also the leading term of that divisor, and you are going to think about what's the leading term in the quotient. Okay, so the leading term in the quotient will be equals 3x squared divided by that x. Okay, so that will give you 3x. Okay, so then remember that you need to use that 3x times x and then times minus 2. So you should see two terms. Always tracking that the first term you get must be identical to the term in the line above. For that new line, the first term, the leading term, must be the same as the term above, right? So 3x times minus 2, it gives you minus 6. Okay, so what will be our next move? Okay, so remember that you need to change the sign. So for that 3x squared is plus, so it becomes minus. So the next sign is minus, then we will change it into plus. Okay, so see, we change that, and then you just add them. So you change the new line into minus, and then you add them. It's just like you take away, right? Okay, so 3x squared minus 3x squared should be 0, right? Should be 0. It must be 0. Okay, 2x plus 6x will be plus ax. All right, so since this one becomes 0, we just cancel out or just delete it. Alright, so you see there's only one term, but there are two terms in the divisor, so you have to bring that's minus 4 over here, right? Okay, so let's see what would be our second term. So for the second term, make a bigger box. Alright, so for the second term, okay, so the leading coefficient now becomes ax plus ax. Okay, so the leading term in the divisor is always x. Alright, so let's see. You need to use that ax divided by x, and you got what? So that's positive. So you will have plus, remember to write plus here, plus 8. Alright, okay. So use that plus 8 to times that's x and then times that's minus 2. Then you will have ax plus ax, okay, and then minus 16. Alright, good. Okay, so don't add them. You need to change the sign before you could add them. Alright, so change the sign. So ax here is positive, now becomes negative, and negative become positive, and then you could add them. Remember to check the leading term always cancel out. Alright, and minus 4 plus 16, minus 4 plus 16, not quite sure, using calculator, right? So it should be plus 12. Okay, that's it. Okay, so it should, are you feeling better now? Making more sense, right? Okay, so let's see. The answer would be, so remainder this time I just write r, quotient I write q, 3x plus a. So that plus is important, so don't miss that plus. Okay, you have to include that plus. Alright, okay, so let's have a, so compare the two questions, can you? Okay, so give you 1 minute to look from left to right, okay, line by line, to see how each steps how we construct each step. Okay, it's always the first step always to get that's the leading term in the dividends and the leading term in the divisor, which I underline by green and blue, and then you use the leading term in the dividend divided by the leading term in the divisor, then you will have the first term. Alright, then you got a new line because you are going to use that term to multiply divisor, and you got a new line, and you change the sign after that, and you add them. You must make sure the leading terms are cancelled out. Alright, good. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to have sort of practice for these two. Okay, right. So I'm going to give you some time to do A first, and then after that you and B. Okay, now pause the video. Try to do it by yourself. Try to learn from previous example. If you are not quite sure, go back to see that part. It is quite difficult, right? I understand, but if you learn it, there's a sense of satisfaction. Okay. Okay, that's what you should get for the example A, right? Try to see if you missed some steps. If you got the answer, congratulations. All good? Okay, so let's try the next one, okay? And give you some time, pause the video now. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so here's the answer, right? So you see this time, the sign should be negative, right? So it should be negative because you got negative ax right here. So you got negative ax divided by x, alright? So always track the leading term. The leading term is 5x squared at the beginning. The leading term for divisor is always x. So you got 5x squared divided by x. You got the first term. But then later on, that leading term become minus ax. So you got minus ax divided by x. Can you see that? Okay, always for the purple color, that's change of sign. Okay, always change your sign before you can add them up. Alright? Oh, good. So here are two examples. Hope you are not feeling too difficult. Alright, okay. So let's go to okay, so what's the difference between this question and the questions before? You see this time you see x cubed, so it's like a higher power, right? Higher degree. Alright, so let's see what we're going to do. So you're going to first, of course, going to write this down. Okay, alright. Okay, you got this. Then you put that x plus 2 over here. Right? Okay. Then the first thing, identify the leading term. Identify the leading term here. Okay, so I should use the same color over here. Okay, and then color here. Okay, so and then we're going to see how can we find the leading term right here. So it should be quite good now. So 2x cubed divided by x. So this time, because that's x cubed divided by x, that should be x squared. Alright, so the leading term should be 2x squared. Okay, and then use 2x squared times the divisor. You got 2x cubed plus 4x squared. Alright, so okay, don't add them unless you have changed the sign. Okay, so change the sign. Then it's time for you to add them. The leading term must be cancelled out. Minus x squared minus 4. So that's basically minus 1 minus 4, right? Minus 1 minus 4 is minus 5. 5 squared. Okay, you need to borrow that. Plus 4x. Okay. Alright, so that's minus 5x. Okay, so the next term here you need to create is from the new leading term and the leading term of divisor, which would be minus 5x squared divided by x. Okay, so it becomes minus 5x. Remember that x squared divided by x is x, right? So minus 5x. So use minus 5x times x. You got minus 5x squared. You got 10x, right? So then, okay, so we are going to change the sign. So it's negative become plus. negative become plus. So minus 5x squared plus 5, so cancel out. 4 plus 14, 4 plus 10 is 14x. Okay, so there's only one term, so you need to borrow from the above. You got 6 down here. So that's third term because still not finished, right? Okay, so there's another term over here. Okay, so that's 14. So the leading term now is 14. So you use that 14x divided by x. So you will have plus. So remember, you need to include that plus. Don't just write 14 plus 14. All right. Okay, so when you use that plus 14 times this one, you got 14x. You got plus 28. All right. But before you do the addition, change the sign. Okay, so that's minus 6 minus 28. So should be minus 34. Am I correct? Okay. Right, so for this question, we know the remainder will be minus 34. The quotient will be 2x squared minus 5x plus 14. Okay, all good? Right. Okay, so what's the difference between a cubic polynomial divided by a linear one to a quadratic one divided by a linear one? So for the quadratic one, when you divide a linear one, that's the process is much quicker. You will only have 2 terms in that quotient. But for this case, because there are more terms in the dividends, so you see 3 terms, and you got much more lines. All right, to finish it. Okay, good. So let's move on to see this one. Okay, so for this one, let me. Okay, so again, we're going to do this one. Right. Okay, first, you see the leading term is this and this. All right, so your first term would be minus 4x cubed divided by 2x. Okay, divided by 2x. So that will give you minus 2x squared. Okay, and then use that minus 2x squared to multiply the divisor. You have minus 4x cubed plus, because the minus becomes plus 2x squared. Alright, and don't forget to change the sign immediately. Alright, then you add them. Okay, the first term will be cancelled out. Minus 12 minus 2 is minus 14x squared minus 8x. Okay, so of course that minus x borrowed from above. Okay, so second term. Okay, what's our leading term now? The leading term is here. Alright, so I'm going to use, that's the new leading term, minus 14x squared divided by the leading term divisor, which is 2x. So that will give you minus 7x. Alright, so use that minus 7x to use this one. Alright, okay, so leading term, before that we need to change the sign. Nearly forgot. Okay, so make sure the leading term going to be cancelled out. Minus 8 minus 7 minus 15x plus 1. Okay, so here there's some challenge. Okay, alright, so the leading term now is minus 15x. Alright, so the problem is, can you see that now? Okay, So the problem is minus 15x is not divisible by 2. Okay, so x is cancelled out, but minus 15 divided by 2 is not divisible. So you need to write a fractions here, minus 15 plus 2, but you still need to use that to multiply 2x, right? So minus 15 2 times that one still equals minus 15x, but then when you use that minus 15 over 2 times minus 1, it becomes plus minus 15 2. Okay, then you need to change the sign, plus minus. Alright, okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, the leading term cancel out. How about plus 1 minus 2 plus 1 minus 15 divided by 2? So if you use calculator, so it's minus 13.2. Okay, it would be better for you to use that fraction. Okay, alright, so I need to remind you that 1 is borrowed from above. Okay, so we finish. Okay, so the Q this time is minus 2x squared minus 7x minus 15 2. Alright. Okay, alright, okay, so and remainder, so the remainder is minus 13 over 2. Okay, good. Alright, okay, so you might need some time to do this too. Alright, okay, pause the video now, try by yourself, and then we check the answer for A first. How about that? Okay. Okay, so here's the answer. Right, check to see if you got a particular step which is not the same as mine. Okay, so the green underline means the leading term each time. Okay, and the blue underline means the leading term of the divisor. Alright, so always use the green underline, the leading term divided by the divisor, the leading term of the divisor, then you got the terms you need to multiply the divisor to create a new line. Alright, and sorry, I need to emphasize that you need to change the sign. I nearly forgot that. Okay, so I nearly forgot that. Okay, so I need to change the sign. Okay, before you add them. Okay, before you add them. Okay, so that will give you the answer. Alright, okay, good. And if you got no problem with this question, and we could move on to the next one. Alright, pause the video. Okay, so here's the part B. Okay, so you will see, right, so again there are a few more steps than quadratic one. Okay, so make sure you see the leading term of that dividend. Okay, it's right here. So each time you use green line, the term underlined by green divided by, that's 3x every time you use the green underline divided by the blue underline. Alright, and you got 3 terms. Alright, oh sorry, this one should be green one. Alright, so basically that's how we do the cubic polynomial divided by linear one. Okay, there will be one last special type of it. So for this type, that would be sometimes we got terms are missing in the dividend. Okay, so you see sometimes for a cubic one, there should be 4 terms. There could be 4 terms, I should say, but sometimes there are only 3 terms because one term is 0. Okay, So see, for a cubic polynomial, you got power 3, power 2, power 1, and constant. So there will be at most 4 terms. But sometimes they got only 3 terms. How could we do division if you got 1 term missing? Okay, so if you got 1 term missing, you have to rewrite that difference into its full form. What do we mean by its full form? So you see that's x cubed. So the next term should be x squared, but there's no such term. So x squared is 0, x squared. So 0 times x squared is 0, but you need to write this one for the sake of division. So okay, so this is really important. You need to add this missing term as 0x squared. Without this one, you can't do the division. Alright? Okay, so let's see what happens here. If you add this one, could we do the division? Yes. Okay, so possibly I need to create a bit more room over here. Alright, okay, so let's see how could we do it. So let's write, you need to write the 0x squared plus 3x plus 2, x plus 1. Okay, so the leading term is right here, the other leading terms here. Okay, so let's have our first term. Okay, our first term comes from the leading term in the dividend divided by leading term in the divisor. So you will have that 2x squared. Alright, and use that 2x squared to multiply the terms. Alright, okay. So remember, you need to change the sign for that new line. Alright, okay, so both become negative, so when you add them, the leading term cancel out. Okay, then that would be minus 2x squared. So borrow 1 term here, plus 3x. Right, so for this one, okay, the new leading term now becomes minus 2x squared. So you are going to do the second part of it. So this one becomes 2 minus 2x squared divided by x. So it actually becomes minus 2x. Okay, use that minus 2x. Okay, use that minus 2x to use that minus 2x to multiply the divisor. You got minus 2x squared minus 2x. Alright, so and then okay. Alright, okay, so change the sign. Okay, so this one become plus, this one become plus. So the leading term must be cancelled out. 3x plus 2x, 5x. Okay, need to borrow that term, plus 2. Okay, so the third term. Okay, and the leading term now is 5x. Right, so use that 5x divided by x. You got plus 5. Okay, use plus 5, multiply the divisor. 5x plus 5. Okay. Then change the sign. Okay, we've repeat that many times. Right, so okay, so that would be what? Okay, so should be minus 3. Okay. Okay, so the quotient is 2x squared minus 2x plus 5, and our remainder is minus 3. Okay, so let's go to another one. So for b, Okay, so it's cubed, so it's power 3, right? But there are only 2 terms. So that means that 2 terms are missing. Okay, so you need to rewrite this one into cubic and x squared, but then you need to add 0x plus 0. Okay, so that 2 terms missing. Okay, so you need to rewrite the whole thing into 4 terms. That's how you could do long division. Okay. Right, so let's write all the things into the setting. Okay, so can you do it by yourself now? Alright, you try to do it. So that's 0x, just treat it like the same thing, but you need to have 2 double 0. Alright, okay. So I'm going to give you some time. Try to do it by yourself. Alright, okay. Alright, so you see this one? Okay, so here will be the answer. Alright, so check your answer to see if anything wrong. Okay, so the special thing for this one is that 2 zeros, 0x and plus 0. Okay, you still need to borrow it from above. Otherwise, there's no room to do that. To accommodate. That's the term x and the term 1/3. Why that's 1/3? Because you need to do that when the leading term become x and I mean the green the green underline one, which is x, but the leading term for divisor 3x, so x over 3x become 1/3, right? Okay, so that's why you need to do that. Okay, so there are another 2 questions. Alright, so possibly you need to do that by yourself. Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer, and can you try them by yourself? Okay, because this video is long enough, I can't make it longer, right? Okay, so for this one, the quotient would be x squared plus 2x minus 2. And the remainder is minus 6. For B, the quotient is 2x squared minus x minus 3. The remainder is 3. Okay, so that's just 2 of them. Alright, so just try to see if you could do it. So if you can do it, that's good. If you can't, you can ask questions. I could show you how to do it through emails or OneNotes. Okay. So this is quite a difficult exercise, right? So possibly it could be quite challenging and quite time consuming for you to do all the practices. But please try because that would be a topic in Math B if you really want to do higher math like Math B and like math methods or specialist math. You really need to overcome these kinds of complex procedures. Right. Okay, so in our notes I give you more practices with their answers, but I recommend you just do some of them, don't do all of them, so you don't have time unless you think you need more practice. Alright? Okay, so see you next time. Thank you.